Sometimes the strongest partnership can crumble in minutes, not with wars, not with sanctions. It breaks with one meeting, one refusal, one man who looks power in the eye and says, no. And tonight we're diving into that moment. The moment when Donald Trump did something unprecedented. He didn't blame a country. He didn't blame policies. He blamed one Indian. In his own words, that single person destroyed America. India relations. So, who is this man? What happened in that room where cameras weren't allowed? And how did one conversation change the trajectory of two superpowers? This isn't about trade numbers or defense deals. This is raw. This is personal. This is about the collision between American expectations and Indian pride. This is about one voice that refused to bend and made the most powerful man on earth take it personally. So stick with me, because once you hear what really went down behind those closed doors, you'll never see global politics the same way again. Look, it wasn't that long ago when India was just another developing country. That's the polite way the West used to say not important. They saw poverty, they saw chaos, they saw a nation grateful for whatever attention it got from the big player. What they completely missed was the hunger, the determination to rise. Today, India isn't asking for permission anymore. The International Monetary Fund says India is now the fastest growing major economy on the planet. While Europe fights recession and America worries about inflation, India is building. The numbers don't lie. GDP growth is outpacing Germany, Japan, even the U.S. itself. This isn't just recovery, this is dominant. From the tech towers of Bangalore to the financial districts of Mumbai, money is flowing like never before. Since 2016, over 75,000 startups have launched, making India the world's third largest startup ecosystem. We're not talking about small businesses here. We're talking about billion-dollar valuations, unicorn companies, global tech giants being born every month. When COVID hit and the world panicked, what did India do? It became the pharmacy for how one Indian decision changed everything. Entire planet. Over 80 countries got their vaccines from India. The country that was supposed to need help became the lifeline for everyone else. While the West struggled with supply chains, India was exporting medicines, vaccines and medical equipment across the globe. And suddenly the power dynamic shifted. India wasn't the grateful recipient anymore. India had options, real options. This wasn't the same country that would nod and smile at whatever America offered. This is where our story really begins. Because Trump, being Trump, walked into this new reality, expecting the old rules to still apply. He expected India to be thankful. He expected compliance. He was about to meet the man who would change everything. Dr. S. J. Shankar, India's External Affairs Minister. If you don't know this name, you should, because this is the man who made Trump so furious that he personally blamed him for destroying the relationship between two nuclear powers. Jai Shankar isn't your typical diplomat. He doesn't do small talk. He doesn't flatter egos. He walks into rooms representing 1.4 billion people, and he acts like it. Sharp, strategic, and completely unimpressed by American pressure tactics. During Trump's presidency, everything was supposed to be on the table. Trade deals, defense partnerships, strategic alliances. Modi and Trump had their public friendship. Remember Howdy Modi? 70,000 Indians cheering Trump in Houston. Trump loved every second of it. But behind those camera-ready moments was a different story. Because while Modi was playing the diplomatic game, Jai Shankar was holding the line. And that line was simple. India will not be dictated to. The breaking point came during high-level talks that most people never heard about. Secret meetings, closed doors, no media. This is where the real business gets done. Trump's team came in expecting quick wins. They had their demands ready. They wanted India to stop buying weapons from Russia. They wanted India to reduce trade with Iran. They wanted India to pick America's side in every global dispute. Basically, they wanted India to become America's junior partner in Asia and be grateful for the privilege. The meeting was tense from the start. American officials laying out what they expected from India, making it clear Trump exposes the real truth that this wasn't really a negotiation. This was America telling India how things were going to be. Then Jai Shankar spoke cool, calm, completely unbothered by the pressure in that. His message was crystal clear. India makes its own decisions on defense, on trade, on foreign policy. America could either respect that or walk away. The silence that followed was deafening, because this wasn't how these meetings usually went. Countries like India were supposed to negotiate, maybe ask for something in return for compliance. They weren't supposed to just say no, but that's exactly what Jai Shankar did. No long explanations, no apologies, just a firm refusal to let America decide India's policy. You have to understand what a shock this was for Trump's team. They were used to dealing with allies who needed American approval, who feared American displeasure. But India had Russia for weapons, the Middle East for oil, Europe for trade, China for manufacturing. India didn't need to depend on America for anything, and that terrified them. When they pushed harder on the Russia weapons deal, Jai Shankar didn't blink. India would buy what it needed from whoever offered the best terms. When they demanded India condemn Russia over Ukraine, Jai Shankar said India would stay neutral. When they wanted India to cut ties with Iran, Jai Shankar said India's energy security came first. Every American demand met with quiet, unshakable resistance. This drove Trump absolutely insane, because Trump's entire foreign policy was built on personal relationships. He needed world leaders to like him, to seek his approval, to make him feel important. But Jai Shankar, he treated Trump like any other world leader, equal, not superior. For Trump, being treated as equal felt like disrespect. The final straw came during defense talks. America wanted India to cancel its purchase of Russian S-400. Trump's team made it an ultimatum: buy American or face consequences. This kind of pressure usually worked. Most countries would cave rather than risk American anger. Jai Shankar's response was ice cold. India will make decisions based on India's interests. That's what sovereign nations do. Sovereign nations. Those two words hit like a bomb in that room. Obama's motivational perspective on leadership, because what Jai Shankar was really saying was, we're not your colony. We're not your puppet. We're an independent country that makes independent choices. And Trump took it very, very personally. After that meeting, everything changed. The public smiles continued for a while. Modi and Trump still appeared together at events, but behind the scenes, the relationship was freezing over. Trade negotiations that should have been straightforward suddenly became impossible. Defense cooperation hit roadblock after roadblock. Trump started complaining publicly about India's trade practices. He ended India's preferential trade status. He began talking about India like it was an adversary instead of an ally. Then came the moment that revealed everything. In a private conversation that later became public, Trump said the words that showed exactly how personal this had become. It's not India that's the problem. It's one Indian who destroyed our relationship. One Indian. He was talking about Jai Shankar, the man who dared to say no. This is where the story gets interesting, because Trump's anger revealed something important about how power really works. It's not just about countries or policies. It's about people. It's about ego. It's about respect. Trump didn't feel rejected by a nation. He felt rejected by a person. And when someone like Trump feels personally rejected, he doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. He takes it out on everyone. But here's what makes this story truly remarkable. Jai Shankar didn't insult Trump. He didn't attack America. He didn't even raise his voice. All he did was refuse to pretend that India should be grateful for whatever America offered. That refusal changed everything, because it showed the world something that Washington didn't want anyone to see. America couldn't just order other countries around anymore. Even allies had choices now. Even partners could say no. And when India said no, it didn't collapse. It didn't get punished. It got stronger. While Trump was complaining about India, Indian companies were signing deals with American businesses worth billions. While Trump was threatening sanctions, India was building partnerships with Europe, Japan, Australia, even China. Despite border tensions, the European Union started talking about strategic partnerships with India. Japan increased its investment. Australia signed comprehensive trade agreements. India proved something that sent shockwaves through Washington. In the modern world,
No single country gets to dictate terms to everyone else. And it all started with one man saying no in a conference room. Let me tell you why this matters beyond just politics. Janka understood something most people never learn. Your power doesn't come from making others comfortable. It comes from knowing your worth and refusing to accept less. Think about your own life. How many times have you been in situations where someone expected you to be grateful for scraps, where they assumed you'd say yes because you needed them more than they needed you? Jai Shankar shows us what happens: trade wars, tariffs, and global power shifts. When you walk into any room knowing your value, when you refuse to play games where you're supposed to feel lucky just to be there. Some people get angry, some people try to punish you, but others start treating you with the respect you always deserved. Fast forward to today, Trump is back in power as of January 20. The relationship between America and India is still complicated, but something fundamental has changed. America no longer assumes India will automatically agree. American businesses know they have to compete for Indian partnerships. American politicians know they have to treat India as an equal. And Jaishankar, he's still there, still calm, still refusing to accept anything less than respect. The man Trump blamed for destroying the relationship became the architect of India's new global position. A position where India doesn't choose sides in other people's fights, where India makes its own decisions, where India partners with everyone but belongs to no one. This is strategic autonomy, and it drives traditional powers crazy, because it means you can't be controlled, can't be predicted, can't be taken for granted. When Russia invaded Ukraine, everyone expected India to condemn Russia and join sanctions. India chose neutrality, not because it supported the war, but because it refused to let others write its foreign policy. When China and India had border clashes, everyone expected India to automatically align with America. Instead, India handled it directly while maintaining trade with both countries. But this story goes beyond Trump and Jai Shankar. This is about how power shifts in the modern world. For 70 years, global relationships worked one way. America set the rules. Everyone else followed. If you followed well, you got rewards. If you didn't follow, you got punished. That system worked when America controlled half the world's economy and had the only serious military force. But that world doesn't exist anymore. Today, there are multiple power centers. China has massive economic influence. India has enormous population and growing wealth. Europe has huge markets. Russia has nuclear capabilities. In this new reality, countries don't have to choose between America and everyone else. They can pick America for some things, China for others, Europe for still others. They can be strategic, they can be selective, they can be independent. And that's exactly what India decided to do. When America said choose us or China, India said we'll choose what's best for India. When America said buy our weapons or face consequences, India said we'll buy the best weapons, regardless of source. When America said support our position on Russia, India said we'll support peace, not sides. This wasn't anti-American policy. This was pro-Indian strategy. But to Trump it felt like betrayal, because he was used to countries needing American approval to survive and prosper. The U.S. India situation wasn't unique. During Trump's presidency, he had similar conflicts with Germany's Angela Merkel, France's Emmanuel Macron, Canada's Justin Trudeau. The pattern was always identical. Trump would meet foreign leaders, expecting difference. When he got partnership instead of submission, frustration would build. Lessons for leaders and youth today. When he got independence instead of compliance, anger would explode. And usually he'd blame one specific person, not the entire country, not the system, one individual who had the audacity to treat him as an equal rather than a superior. Here's why this story matters beyond international politics and diplomatic drama. It's about how power works in your personal life. Every single day, you walk into situations where people expect you to accept less than you deserve. Your boss who wants longer hours for the same salary. Your client who demands more work for the same payment. Your relationships where you're expected to compromise your values to keep others comfortable. In those moments you face the same choice Jashanka faced: accept unequal terms to maintain peace, or demand equal treatment, and risk losing the relationship entirely. Most people choose the first option. They accept less because they fear losing what they have. They stay quiet because they fear conflict. They compromise their principles because they fear consequences. But here's what Jai Shankar understood, that most people miss completely. Sometimes relationships aren't worth keeping if they require you to accept less than you deserve. Sometimes peace isn't worth maintaining if it requires silence about unfairness. Sometimes safety isn't worth preserving if it demands compromising your core value. When Jai Shankar said no to Trump, he wasn't trying to be difficult or stubborn. He was demanding to be respected as an equal, and respect can never be given as charity. Respect must be earned through strength. Sometimes earning respect requires risking rejection completely. The people who shape history, who change industries, who build movements, who create lasting legacies, they're not the ones who always say yes to everything. They're the ones who know exactly when to say no. They understand that some relationships are only valuable on equal terms. They would rather walk away from bad deals than accept bad deals. They measure success not by what they avoid losing, but by what they refuse to tolerate. So the next time someone questions your worth, your position, your right to equal treatment, remember this exact moment. One diplomat, one conversation, one stand that changed global dynamics forever. Because that's how real change happens. That's how nations rise from followers to leaders. And that's how individual voices can echo across the entire world. You don't have to fight loudly to be powerful. You just have to know exactly final message that will inspire you, who you are, and what you won't compromise. And when pressure comes, when demands are made, when people expect you to shrink to make them comfortable, that's when your character gets tested. Jai Shankar passed that test. He showed the world that New India doesn't ask for respect, it commands respect. He demonstrated that dignity isn't negotiable, even when dealing with the world's most powerful leaders. This moment matters because it proves that principled resistance can reshape entire relationships.